I do know, like, just thinking about, like, the implications of, like, what a Neurolink is, right?
Right.
And then being like, okay, if I can connect my brain to your brain and we can talk telepathically, does that mean I can talk just in words? Or can I talk in pictures? Or can I also talk in feelings?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know, and then the jump is like, well, what if you had 10 people? What if you had 100 people? What if you had a lot of people?
What if you had a lot of people?
Right.
Yeah.
And what kind of consciousness is that at that point,
Sure.
right? You know?
Sure.
It's a whole different type of experience, really.
Absolutely.
You know?
And the more you look, it's like a fractal effect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
there's something to see and discover every level of that.
Yeah.
How deep you look. Yeah.
Yeah, because if people understood each other on that type of level, you know.
Can you just imagine?
I know, I do. Like, and
I do imagine all the time.
Because it's like you come out of it and you're like, oh, well, everyone's kind of thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Absolutely.
Because we're all like arguing about basically the same thing. We all want the same thing,
Yeah.
and it's like, but everyone's just like, well, but I'm in this team and in this camp and
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and boundaries and walls, and it's like, yeah, well, you know, like there are other types of like. Your boundaries are in the wrong spot, man. Like,
Yes.
like boundaries are good. I like, yeah.
Yes, exactly. I love that. Your boundaries are in the wrong spot, man.
Yeah.
That's right. And we're always reassessing our boundaries.
Yeah.
We'll take them away and we'll put some more down. This is the first year of my life I've said no.
Right.
And
right.
I felt like my heart was pounding and I was sweaty and I had all these excuses about why it had to be no, and then now it's just become so much easier
Yeah.
to, you know.
Same thing as pulling the weeds, right? You know, just
Yeah.
trimming the fat.
There you go, that's right.
This is where I'm at. This is what I got to do. Sorry, this is, you know,
Yeah.
I can't be all these places right now.
That's right.
You know,
And your people will understand.
people do understand because
Yeah.
they're trying to do it too.
That's
you know?
right. Yeah, you know,
Mhm.
so they might act, you know, kind of stinky that you cancel an appointment, but what do? They
Yeah.
they go to the ice cream store and they have a blast. Like,
Right, yeah,
so
exactly. It's a
all
big world.
perspective,
Like,
yeah.
there's a lot of things that they can keep themselves occupied. They
Sure.
don't- Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and then when you've got a certain skill set, and people want that skill set,
Yeah.
not just for themselves, but it's not always a selfish thing.
Right, yeah.
They also feel, well, she's obviously very excited about what she does. I'll give her the opportunity to
Mhm.
survey my entire 60-acre property and let me know if there's any invasives there, and I'll let her take pictures of birds for free.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to say no on that.
Yeah,
but
for real.
I want to say yes.
Yeah.
I want to help you.
but yeah,
That
there's
would take months.
money is energy, right? If you're giving that much energy and you're not getting anything back, it's like, well, what? Like, it's an
I
uneven.
love that you said that, because that's exactly the definition of my boundaries. It's
Yeah,
never about
yeah.
money. It's
Yeah.
never. But I have come home
It's your
basically
definition
just
of- yeah.
a bag of bones. Like, just
Yeah,
you can run out
Yeah.
of your juices.
yeah, exactly. And it's, yeah, I mean, I try to volunteer where I can, and I try to like give back wherever I can, and like, and that's what you're volunteering, that's what you're giving, you know.
Absolutely.
And then, I mean, and the whole money side of it is, if I get this money, then I can use it to give it back here,
Absolutely.
you know, and then
Yes.
it amplifies everything that you're doing.
And it just feels so good
Mhm.
when I've got a little extra money to tip the way I want to tip.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
support that artist
Yeah.
who I've loved forever.
Yeah,
You know.
buy a piece that they're doing, or buy like an
Yes.
album or a T-shirt from somebody,
Yes,
or
absolutely.
you know,
Yeah.
like it's, artists are definitely underrated in a lot of ways, or undervalued maybe. It's a fine line, you know.
Sure, and it is, and I wish that I knew what to do about that, because you know, even the other day I watched. Okay, so there was a guy who handed me a CD on the street. I was on my way somewhere, wasn't expecting to run into him. He handed me a CD. I said thank you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I tucked it away, and I went home and I listened to it, and I was like, whoa,
yeah.
whoa.
Really good, or
It was so good. Yeah, yes.
I've had that experience where it wasn't
You're
so
like,
good.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. Appreciate you. But I was
take
blown
another route next time.
I was listening, and at first I was like, wow, it's very talented, but it's not like what my soul needed.
Right.
And it's been now 5 years. I popped that CD in just a couple days ago,
Nice.
and whoa!
Yeah.
I was dancing around. I was leaping. I was at the Pilates studio at the time,
nice.
and it just
Yeah.
happened to play it. And I lost my mind with how good it was.
That's awesome.
I needed it, and I was like, I need to let this guy know.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
For sure.
it's not fair to feel that much joy and not give that back in
Yeah.
some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And people appreciate it, you know. Just like yesterday when my buddy called me up about listening to the new podcast, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh man, that's great, you know. Like, I didn't know anyone was watching this. I see numbers, but that's not the same, you know.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm just like, okay, this seems like a good amount of people seen this, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but your goal it's all about what your goal is.
Yeah, opening the dialogue, right?
Right.
Like seeing what they have to say about what you're saying, and then that includes more people. And it's like, hey, well, you jump on the podcast then, and we'll talk about it. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened, you know?
Yep.
And he's just talking about woodworking and how that, I don't know how that connected to what we were saying, but like it did, you know. Everything does. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, that's
And,
right.
And then the other side of it is I just want to collect stories, right? Like, what is really going on in this area, you know?
Yeah.
What's going on in the area over there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, like even like early, I don't know, I'm gonna bring it back to music because I always do, but
Music's super fun, yeah.
right, yeah, exactly. And like before recorded music, right? Like there was very much pockets of traditional music in each town almost.
That's right.
And so the musicians that grew up in that town, very much like in New Orleans now, like New Orleans still has that kind of like what we call the New Orleans vibe, or like even Nashville has like, you know what Nashville sounds like, you know?
Sure.
But like if you, before recorded music, before you could just like go there and listen to it easily, you know, people would like travel around like troubadours and pick up songs from different towns and then play them at the next town, and they'd be like, oh my god, what is this?
Yeah.
This is like a time traveler, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Man.
But that to me blows my mind,
Yeah.
like how music would travel like that, you know?
Absolutely.
I love that like idea, and just storytelling, and you know, that all just enfolds into that.
Absolutely. And you're talking about pre-recorded.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I think about too with theater or
Right, yeah.
any art.
Yeah.
It's so special because it just existed then.
Yeah.
We have ways of recording now,
Yeah.
but truly, even the first expression of that art, I mean,
Yeah.
that is a spark, that is magic, that is unique to that moment.
Yeah. And the surrounding moment that they're in, you know, affects greatly how they're gonna sing this song, or like, I mean, if everything's just in turmoil around them, it's gonna show up, you know. If everything is like golden age things are happening right now, you're gonna have a party, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just how that works. And now with recorded music, it's like a litmus test, you know, like going back through like deep time and being like, oh man, they must have been having a blast in the 50s, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. There's so much truth to that, though.
Yeah.
And you valued that time and that experience like none other, because life is hard.
Right.
And this was probably for so many people the most beautiful part of their lives is music or dance or both.
Yeah.
In theater. And I used to do theater, and I remember being about 15 or so, and we didn't record plays. It doesn't always work when you do, and even nowadays with our technology.
Mm-hmm.
And I would do theater on the round, so there'd be all these people around us, and it would be so raw and so powerful.
Yeah.
And then when we all held hands at the end, I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
We said goodbye to it.
Yeah.
Such a powerful, amazing thing.
Definitely.
But the patrons who came to loan us their of their love and their power. I mean, it's that feedback.
Yeah.
And that's why we do it. But it is a fleeting moment.
Yeah, and you mentioned I always love the like last part of something, like we were saying, we're all holding hands and say goodbye to it kind of thing. It's like, it's always so hard. It's so powerful to us that we need like this closure.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Willie Nelson, at the end of his set, he'll play a song called "Dance a Little Longer," and it's like, you know, it's like, hey, come on in and dance a little longer.
I love that.
And it's just like a nice way of saying, you know, or stay a little longer, I think it was called, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice way to invite you to stay, but also, hey, but we gotta go.
That's
you know,
right.
at the same time.
Yeah, well, and we are creatures of ceremony and ritual, and so initiations and closures and celebrations of milestones along the way. I mean,
the ending credits on a movie, you know.
Yeah,
it's like, we don't
need that
even really
closure.
need to do that, but it's just like that's we could just give like publish books or just put it on the internet now, really.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true.
And you could just look up everybody if you really wanted to, but it's just become traditional or something. And the way storytelling has always been traditional in its own way too.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Joseph Campbell, right?
Yes, you remember.
Hero of a Thousand Faces. Yeah.
Yes, I'm still just bonkers about him, and I still read one page a day, and that's about all I can handle because I'm like, okay, you did it again.
It's
like my
heavy.
mind is blown. Like
heavy.
what? Yeah. And I'll read the same sentence again, and I'll be like, wow, that hit me here, and then I'll read it again. Like, it just keeps on getting deeper. You know, it just hits you different.
Yeah.
Fast forward 10 years, the stuff that inspired me 10 years ago feels so different now, and I understand it so differently now. Yeah. But that is the power of storytelling.
Oh, yeah,
and I
definitely.
can think of few things that are as quintessential as storytelling.
Right. Yeah, because so I thought about this recently is like almost like the operating system, right? Like a Windows or a Mac like system
interface
for our brain would be the story, I think. Like that's how we frame a lot of our lives.
Oh, for sure.
And the way we frame just even attempting some, like, it's like, oh, well, my story of how I played guitar, like, started when I was 16 years old, and then I learned these songs. It's like, I mean, that's exactly how we tell it.
Absolutely.
You know?
And that's how we organize it.
Yeah.
That's how we remember it. And that's when we review, we remember this part good, this part bad.
Right.
You know, we plug in our emotions to it.
And that was that downfall, and that was the struggle.
And the best part, the best part. But when you were actually living it, I mean, that 5-minute story was 5 years, and there was a lot of dynamics, ups and downs, failures and successes, of course.
But the narrative self versus the experiencing self.
There you go. Yes. And then so sometimes it seems like we're ripping ourselves off if we just give a synopsis, but But then that's where the good storytelling comes in.
Yeah, because the way I seen it happen, it all unfolded the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
And it all came back, and then I was back home again, and we had a party. And
in its perspective, the same story can change. So when I was 25, telling everyone about my story of when I was 23, because there's a story in there.
Yeah.
That story is so much different now. I mean, I have rewritten it because I get to. I'm permitted to.
Exactly.
And my attachments have changed. So the facts are the same, but
you see it completely different.
I see it completely different, and I also would like to change the vibration of my story.
Yeah.
I'm not required to have this doomy story.
Exactly.
When I am now so comfortable about it, and I don't need to spread that part of the doom.
Yeah.
If someone is able to relate, they already know.
Definitely.
And if someone's feeling good and I'm giving them information, I am not going to be the one to bring you down, just so that you could understand how I felt at the time. But sometimes you do want that, right? Sometimes you do, and because feeling the abject is so important. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you do want to bring people down, not from a selfish manner, but that's the beauty of storytelling.
And how do you relate? I mean, like, maybe this person you're talking to is just having a horrible time. And you don't want to be too sunny about your experience to them at the point either.
That's true.
And so a lot of context there.
Yeah.
Right?